I think it happened. I think it happened. It's magical. The thing that we didn't want to happen happened. This is great.
You're muted. You're muted.
Oh no.
Carla, you're muted. Unmute. Unmute
What's
yourself.
going on? What's going on with the muting lately? That's insane.
I don't
They
know.
don't want
It's
me
like
to talk.
as soon as we come live, you start to cut out.
That's awful.
So
Let's
what's
try it again. So, welcome to episode 112 of the Game Changers. I am your host, Carla, and tonight I'm turning up the heat with the brilliant Joe Frick. Joe doesn't just know the game, he reads the plays before they happen. And we're about to pull back the curtain on the game behind the game. Big love to the TSA team for fueling this mission of amplifying voices and sparking ideas. This show exists because of visionaries like them and listeners like you. If you want fantasy football gold, perspective shifting stories, or a fresh way to see the world, you're in the right place. The Game Changers isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Let's get into it. Who is Joe Frick? Tonight's guest is a guy who changes the temperature of a room the second he walks in. Joe Frick is the tone setter, the hype man, the energy boost, the glue guy, all rolled into one. A proud Pittsburgh native currently surviving behind enemy lines in Cleveland. Joe brings that raw passion and unmistakable swagger that makes him impossible to miss. When he's not busy wrecking fantasy leagues, he's behind the mic hosting the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show and co hosting from the forum with Tyler Bradley. Joe's got a way of delivering takes that are sharp, funny, and just unpredictable enough to keep his audience locked in. Joe doesn't just play fantasy football, he lives it, he breathes it, and he makes it a whole experience for everyone around him. Whether he's in your league, your group chat, or your inner circle, one thing is guaranteed: you're going to laugh, you're going to have a good time, and you're going to feel like an MVP. Please help me welcome Joe Frick, everybody, to the Game Changers. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing so good. It's good to see you, Carla. It's been a fun off season. Fun to finally be on the show. And yeah, we're doing great. It's a new year in the NFL, so excited to get into free agency, excited for the draft and all that good stuff. But yeah, we're living. And it's supposed to be 70 degrees on Saturday. We'll take that
I know.
now.
I know. I'll take it anytime. Today
That's
was
right.
50 degrees, so I'll take that.
That's right.
I'm done with the snow, Joe. I'm done.
I feel that in my bones. I feel that in my
Oh my
bones.
God. So tell me, Joe, when did you first realize you were the tone setter in every room?
Man, it's funny because there was a period in my life where I was very much not that person. I've always been more of like the class clown kind of a guy. But I think it was really like my sophomore, junior year of high school, kind of figured out who I was. And I was like, all right, like life's too short not to just kind of be like a goofball. Who cares what people think? Let's get after it. Let's have a good time. I remember I went to a wedding. I think it was like eighth or ninth grade. It was one of my cousin's weddings. And I brought a deck of cards because I didn't want to dance. I didn't want to do all of this stuff. And I just sat there and played solitaire by myself the whole night. And it's like I laugh because it's like even at things like the expo, at the grocery store, like my headphones get put on and it's like who knows what's gonna happen like in the fruit aisle. Like things are just gonna go down and it's fine now. So thinking back to that point in my life, always a good chuckle. But life's what you make it, you gotta make it a good time.
That's so interesting. I love that, Joe. What's the secret to walking in with instant energy without forcing it?
Yeah, I think authenticity is important. I am very much on the extreme end of extroversion. Like I
Yes.
think that if you were to say like, oh, are you introverted, extroverted? It's like people say, oh yeah, like I fall on one side or the other. It's like I know that I'm at the very end of that bar, and it's like, and I'm cool with that. I think the difference between
100%.
like maybe saying like, hey, like I demand attention or I have to be it. It's something that I just feel comfortable with, but I don't require it. So if the moment needs me to step up and be a little bit louder, I can. And if not, you kind of just let things happen. But it's having a good sense of self, knowing where your comfort areas lie and where they're not. And then at the end of the day, just knowing that as long as the core people around you and you feel good about yourself, the rest of the stuff is really just.
I love that about you because this is me as well. We love to hype, the room. We
Yeah.
want that. We want the
Yeah.
energy going. Do you by any chance hype yourself up before a show, or does the hype just live in you?
I think that it's interesting, right? Because when you think about public speaking or being in front of a crowd or doing a podcast that your mom only listens to, there's always kind of that like, oh, like what if I mess up? What if I do this? Whatever, whatever. I think what's important is one, no one really knows that you mess up unless you are the person that kind of like communicates that, whether it's with like a facial expression or saying like, oh, whoops, sorry, like this thing happens. But I do think that there's this element of there's this excited energy or this nervous energy that you have, and you can either let it be a detriment to yourself, or you can say, hey, this is something that I really enjoy. Let's embrace that energy and do something with it. So I think no matter when you get called upon for stuff like this, and of course, listening to Sir Mix-a-Lot, like Joe said, um, you just find a way to kind of take that energy and do stuff with it. So it's still scary, obviously, but I enjoy it. So it's kind of just like the adrenaline rush of the whole experience is fun.
That's so real. I love that about you. Tell me, what's the funniest reaction you've gotten after entering a room?
Oh man, I think the biggest one I've had lately. So for my real person job, I design software for like oil and gas companies, and we did an end of the year training for our entire department. And I was like, all right, it's almost Christmas. No one probably wants to be in this training. And so let's just dress up as Santa Claus for the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I went like full blown, like Santa suit, beard, wig, like the whole 9 yards. And it's just like getting that initial laugh and just kind of cutting the tension in a situation that people probably didn't want to be in. It's like the biggest compliment to what you can be doing. So I think stuff like that is a lot of fun. Being able to kind of throw yourself out there and kind of be the person that's like, okay, like if this person's that crazy, like my crazy probably isn't so bad. So like I can kind of let my guard down and be comfortable. I'm more than happy to be that person.
That's actually really good. Um, if your vibe had a theme song, what would it be, Joe?
Oh man, if my vibe had a theme song, man, I get comped to this person a lot. I don't know if I look like him, but uh God forbid a white boy get a little motion in him. But I get compared to Macklemore a lot of times because I listen to a lot of rap music. I have a big nose and kind of have like a little swoop in my hair. So I know this is pretty big karaoke song that I do a lot. I think that it kind of holds with that too. But Can't Hold Us by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. I think it's a lot of fun. It brings the energy, super intense, but ultimately just a good time. So I think that one's a pretty good place to start.
So, Joe, you and I, we both have like high energy personalities.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, when we have that high energy, we go into a room and we're trying to hype the crowd. They will look at us like, what the hell, like they're doing?
Oh yeah.
Or they will be like in shock or something. It's like we're doing something wrong. What's one misconception people have about high energy personalities that you want to tell them that we're not weird. We have like we want to hype you out. We
Yeah.
love
I think there is an element of weirdness to it for sure, and I'll definitely own that. But I
it's
think that
good. I own it too.
people tend to think that, oh, like this high energy person, like that is the only side to them. And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot more depth in what you think. I think that kind of like we talked about before, where it's like, hey, like I'm willing to step out of this comfort zone to kind of be that person, but that doesn't mean there is a lack of discomfort. It just means that I don't let it stop me from doing the thing that I wanted to do. So I think in a situation like that, it's just being like, hey, like, yes, like this is an element to who I am. It's not the only thing that makes me who I am. I know there's situations where like if I'm talking in a big enough crowd, yes, like I might appear calm, but like I know that behind like a podium, my legs are shaking. Like I'm like, oh man,
Yes.
like what's gonna happen? Like, do I need to think about what people are looking like naked right now? Like what are we gonna do? How are we gonna handle this? But you just make it happen. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just being like, oh, I don't care, like we're just gonna do this thing. It's you kind of just dealing with the emotions as they come.
I love that. I love it. Let's talk a little bit about your roots, Joe. What's the
Sure.
hardest part about being a Pittsburgh guy in Cleveland?
Oh man, where do you begin? Whenever we moved to this house, I've only lived in Cleveland for a couple of years, right? And so we moved in. My wife is actually a Browns fan, so it worked out pretty fun for us. It's twice a year. It's like, all right, we are not going to be friends today, and that's totally cool. But
Oh,
we move in. I go outside. I have a Steelers hoodie on, and I have a neighbor that was like, she just looks at me. She's like, "We don't wear that stuff around here." I was like, "We do now. Let's go. Like, welcome to it." So I think there's a misconception where it's like, "Hey, like you are in this rival area, and it's like you can't rep your team, or you can't do this and that. You can't go to the games. Like people are gonna heckle. People are gonna heckle. People are gonna talk smack, but it's never crossed the line of disrespect." And if people do get disrespect, it's like it's not anything personal to me as a human. It's just one of those things. It's like, hey, like they have this disdain for that team. So I love being in the rival areas. I've gone to both a Browns game as like a Steelers fan in Cleveland. I've been to a Ravens game as a Steelers fan in Baltimore, and it was probably the most fun that I had as a fan. Like, yes, of course, like being able to be at Acrisure Stadium or Heinz Field and say like, hey, like I'm with all these people that enjoy the same thing as me. Awesome. But there's something a little bit special about being the villain too, and you just embrace it and you be cool about it because at the end of the day, it's just football. So there's no reason to be like, oh man, like I hate these people or this and that. It's all in good fun. I do have a lot of fears that we were talking about it before the show. I have a 1 year old. I feel like there's gonna be a very interesting decision in his life at some point
yes.
where he's gonna have to choose which team that he belongs to. I don't know what that's going to work out. I just hope that he's not a Bengals fan. I think that will be the biggest detriment of all things to happen. But we'll see. We'll see how it takes out. He has time,
You
right?
never know.
You never know. You never know.
You never know. So, I want to ask you, like, let's. I totally understand you talking about that. Do you think your baby a boy is crying because he wants to be a Cleveland or a Pittsburgh side of things?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't think he gets it. For me, it's like truthfully, my favorite sport, despite all the fantasy football and interest that I have in football, hockey is my number one sport. So as long as he's a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, we're chilling. As far as the football thing goes, I don't particularly feel that passionate about it. So I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm disowning him if he isn't. He might not even like football for all I care. And I'm fine with that. It's just like, all right, like when you make that decision, like I'll support
True.
you, but just know that you're my kid and I can talk so much more smack than I can to our neighbor. So just like weigh those things out. Your mom has to love you either way, but I can definitely rib you a little bit more if you're gonna go root for the enemy. So
I
we'll see what
agree.
happens. But he's had a good time watching stuff, kind of like in the playoff run this year, which no one in Cleveland would know anything about. So we do have that thing going for us. So I just need them to kind of stay terrible for a couple more seasons. Steelers keep hanging on to this 10-7 thing, and I think we can swing the tide.
Joe, saying all of this, I love that you're talking about your baby boy who's 1 year old right now about everything with
Yeah,
football.
yeah.
I love it. It makes it put a different perspective when you're a dad, right?
Oh, for sure.
So tell me, talking about Cleveland and Pittsburgh, have you ever converted a Cleveland fan to the Pittsburgh side?
Oh no, no. There's no way. I think I always joke with my wife that like one of the major selling points of being with someone that's a Cleveland Brown fan is one, they're extremely loyal fans. And regardless of like all of the hardship, the tough times, moving to another city, coming back, they remain loyal, which is great quality. And I always joke with her when we were dating, it was like, well, you're never expecting a ring either. So I have that going for me. So it was a big surprise. She finally got a ring when we proposed. But no, there's no converting Browns fans, and I think that makes it that much more fun. They understand kind of like the commiserating aspect, which I can empathize with because I'm a Pirates fan, and the Pirates have been terrible for my entire life, essentially for baseball. So it's like I get it, I know what you're going through, and you know what? Props to you for kind of sticking with your team despite all of the trouble that they've gotten themselves into over the years.
Yes, I agree with you. Um, what's one thing, in your opinion, Pittsburgh will always dominate?
Oh man. I mean, City of Bridges for sure. You gotta have a lot of respect for that. Most French fries on the sandwiches per capita with Primanti's, which I will say, hot take, a little bit overrated, but it's good stuff. But I think the thing with Pittsburgh is, despite like whether it grows as a city, whether it's not, it's one of those places that I feel like has that small town feel, even though it's in a big place. You can't go anywhere being from Pittsburgh, go into the city and not run into somebody that and kind of
Yeah,
stop, have that conversation, do all those sort of things. And I really appreciate that about the city. It's been great. It's always home, even if I'm not always there, and got a lot of respect for that.
I love that. So I want to talk about something that's happening in the chat right now.
Yeah.
And I did ask you that question before we go live.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's talking about the shoes behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Care
do
to
have
share?
a small, I have a couple pairs of shoes. So yeah, this collection's been growing for some time. Funny enough, I don't know if it's funny, but it happened. I had an apartment that I lived in that burned down, and I had probably like this size of a collection of shoes, and I lost all of them except for a
Wow.
couple of pairs. So I had to start fresh. This is like 2018 moving forward collection. Big Nike guy, obviously. The
Yeah.
Jordan 1s are probably my favorite sort of like shoe silhouette, what have you. But yeah, you can't get enough of the shoes. That's a signature component of my style. So typically like a simple outfit, but the shoes kind of speak for you. So you always got to have a pair of shoes. It's something that my dad doesn't understand. I don't even know if I understand it sometimes, but yeah, someone from work that works from home, I don't know if I need this many pairs of shoes, but they're here. We keep them in good shape, and I have worn every pair of shoes that I own. So
Everyone have a
every
collection
single,
of some sort, and your
yeah,
collection is shoes.
yeah,
So
yeah,
Bear fan Pete. So Pete is asking, like, because we're doing a show right now, we
yep.
can give away live shoes.
You
Do you
know what?
agree
That'd
with
be a
that?
great idea. That'd be a great idea. I have a wedding that I'm going to next weekend, and I'm trying to track down a pair of shoes. I think they're somewhere in the Netherlands right now, so we could give those away, because I don't think I'm going to see those ones by
Oh my
any chance.
God. What's your shoe size,
I
Joe?
wear a size 10.
I wear size 10 in female. I wear size 9 in men. So I'll work
You
it.
can make it work. You
I'm
can make
good.
it
I'll
work.
make it work.
There you go. You know what? Your packing for the expo has gotten tremendously easier, because you can
Yes.
just stop by, pick up what you need, drop it off on Sunday. We're
Let's
golden.
go.
See some other people in the chat. Hey, come on. It ain't weird. It don't bother me. Feet are feet.
I love that. 10 and a half. Go away, Pete.
Oh,
You're
no,
not.
no.
No.
You can squeeze in. You can squeeze in for sure. Nikes can be a little bit narrow, so it's more about the width of your foot more than the length.
We're gonna take everything, Pete. No.
Yeah, just save me 2 pair. We'll be chilling.
So, Joe, let's get into fantasy football a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
When did fantasy football stop being a hobby and became a lifestyle for you?
Oh man, it's funny looking back, kind of like on my journey in the fantasy football community. I have been helping out. Well, I started helping out with a show about 5 years ago, the Around 412 Fantasy Football Show. It was like hey, can you appear in this kind of like guest spot sort of situation? Did the show, we got done. They're like, you actually kind of like are good at this, and I was like, I can talk, and I know football, so I mean, I feel like those things go hand in hand. We did that show as a trio for a couple of years, and then the guy that was running the show, he pretty much runs that whole podcast network. He's like, I got too much on my plate. I'm going to stop. But if y'all want to keep going, then you can. So I ended up taking over kind of the hosting duties for that show. I do all the graphics for that show. So it's a lot of fun there. And then I moved to Cleveland 2 years ago. I knew about the expo from being a part of the Scott Fishbowl live draft in Dallas. And everybody's like, are you going to go to Canton? Are you going to do all that? And I was like, I'm not flying to Canton to see people that I don't know about a hobby that like I already do with my friends. Like, there's no chance, like, no way. And so when I moved up here, I was like, well, it'd be good to see the people from Dallas I haven't talked to in a bit. I don't really have a lot of friends, because making friends and as an adult in a new place weirdly difficult. So we're still
I
working on
agree.
that. And so I was like, you know what? Let's go to the expo. And my wife dropped me off the first night, and I was like, I'll either be back home in 10 minutes or I will see you on Sunday. So I was pretty much living, breathing, eating the expo the whole weekend. Got connected with the guys and gals over at the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, really hit it off. And then I guess about a year ago, started doing some stuff for them. Got hooked up with Tyler, and we started. I started filling in for the From the Forum show, and now we do that every Friday night, which speaks to
Wow.
my social life, of course. And it's been a lot of fun. I managed the social media content. I'm like the director of like good vibes and stuff, which is very fitting for my personality. And
Yes.
it's been a real blast. So it's been a lot of fun getting a lot more entrenched in the community, getting to meet great people like yourself, and really just being a part of it. I feel like I've sat on the outside looking in for a while, and it's been fun to kind of really dive in and be able to make a name for myself there.
Did you expect all of this when you went to the expo?
Oh no, not at all. I was expecting to kind of just like get some stuff in a bag, maybe chat up with some people, have a couple of drinks, and then just like head on home. It was a lot
It happened.
more almost overwhelming at first. And then it was like you got settled in, you started meeting people, having conversations, and it was like, all right, cool. Like there's a lot of people that are just here for the same reason that I am. It made it a whole lot of fun. And then the weekend ended, I was like, man, like what happened? I feel like I blinked and the whole thing kind of just flew by. So it was definitely eye opening. You don't realize how many people are invested in this space, how much people were like making content, doing content, really eat, live, and breathe it. And then it's been
Yes.
funny too because it was like you start talking to people, and my wife is like, "You're out of your mind. You're in like 14 fantasy leagues. Like, what's wrong with you?" And then you start talking to people, and it's like, "Oh, like what? Like you're in the leagues, you're doing this and that." They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm
14
in
is
30."
nothing.
Yeah, right, right. And it's like, hold on, let me write this down so I can go home. And it's like, I'm actually the normal person. Okay. Like it's
Yes.
not, I'm good.
14 is nothing.
Right.
I know people have more than hundreds.
Yeah. It's
It
crazy.
blows my mind. I don't know how they can do this.
I don't
This is
either.
wild to me.
Yeah, I know. I spend a lot of time during the season talking to Rick Bruce just about like
Yes.
him going through lineups and like all this stuff. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the fantasy season because it's like every day we're like, oh, let's talk waivers, let's do this. He's like, well, I got like 20 teams that have this guy. I got 20 teams that need. And I'm like, Rick, like, how do you keep this together? This is out of control, but he does it.
Did you ever lose in a team and got sucked into doing something really, really like you don't want it to do?
Oh, like a
So
last
I
place
know that some
punishment.
leagues, yeah, some leagues, if
Yeah,
you lose, you have to do something. Did you
yeah.
ever got into this? And what did you
I
have to do?
I have only been in one league that I can recall that I truly came in last place. For that league,
Oh,
we got off pretty light. We have a trophy, which is a guy that's sitting on the toilet, and it's like the
yes,
toilet bowl like loser, and then you
yes.
basically have to pay like twice your money for the next season. So it's kind of like a financial incentive to not. But there's definitely some crazy stuff out there. Like you see people, it's like, oh, like you got to sit at like a Waffle House for 24 hours, you're trying to do all these different things. And it's like, man, like that's crazy. A lot of the leagues that I'm in actually are from places that I've worked in my life. So a lot of times people are like, well, we don't want to get in trouble with work. Like, I don't know if we should do it, or like you couldn't get people to agree on like a punishment or whatever. But I do
Yes.
think that it adds a really interesting element. One thing that I think that would be hilarious, and I say this as a person that doesn't have any, but there are leagues where if you come in last place, then like someone gets to pick a tattoo for you. To me, I think that is like absolutely diabolical, and I probably could get talked into a league like that.
I mean, I love tattoos, but not everybody wants to like
No,
let someone pick a tattoo, and some people don't
right?
want to tattoos as well. So this is
Yeah,
something
yeah.
with your body. Yeah, I don't. Um, uh, Pete is saying dance or in the corner dancing wearing only a pamper. Oh my god. Oh my god. I've seen a lot of like crazy stuff like
Yeah,
you guys do. I'm happy I don't play, so I don't want to go through all of this.
it's crazy
And
too because even places like Trophy Smack, like they're making like the leotards and like all this stuff. Like there's
oh,
very much a subculture for it, and it's pretty hilarious.
make you put a hamburger
Yeah,
like
yeah,
do it as a drink and so it's no,
yeah.
I can't. Joe, what's your biggest fantasy win ever?
Oh man, we're gonna have to go deep into the archives here. I need to even
Yes,
look up. I
let's
think it
go.
was 2014, maybe. But I was in a semifinal, uh, and I was an underdog in the game, and I was like, okay. So this would have been 2017, actually. So I was the underdog. And one of the things that I use a lot for my fantasy football analysis is I like to look at the last 3 weeks of performances to evaluate matchups. So if you're looking at like Sleeper, if you're looking at like the ESPN app or whatever, they'll say, oh, like this is a good matchup, this is a bad matchup. And it's based off of the entire season of data. So much stuff can happen over the course of the year that it's like players may get injured, somebody gets fired, so on and so forth, that it's like maybe somebody that really struggled at the beginning of the year is performing really well now, and I want to think about that a little bit more. So at the time, my kicker was Steven Gostkowski, which was kind of like the premier kicker for the Patriots. It was the year that they pretty much ran the table and everything. And I was like, okay, he's going up against the Steelers this week. The Steelers defense is horrendous, which was like painful to say as a Steelers fan, but I was like, he is going to kick extra points the whole game. So I'm doing some research. The Tennessee Titans are playing the Chicago Bears. And in the last 3 weeks, the Titans had given up something absurd, like 14 or 15 field goals in the last 3 weeks. So I was like, okay, I'm dropping Goskowski. I'm picking up Robbie Gould. And the whole league like blows up. They're like, you don't even want to try. Like, that's one of your best friends. Like, you're basically just giving him the win, all this and that. So needless to say, Goskowski, I think he put up 4 fantasy points that week. Robbie Gould kicked 6 field goals in that game. He had a 45-yard game winner, and that last kick actually won me the week. And it was one of those things where it was like the buy-in was super high. I think like it basically that locked me in for the championship, which would have been for like I basically pocketed like $1,600 from that win. I still think about it
Wow.
all the time. I still need to get a Robbie Gould jersey, and I ended up winning the championship too. So it was very sweet. And my buddy John, he was like, "We got to get kickers out of the league. Like, there's no skill." And I was like, "No, like this was literally a skill play. I dropped the best kicker in the league out of somebody that no one had, knowing that this was going to happen." And I don't get calls like that often, very right, but that was one that I was very happy to get.
Kickers do matter. I
Kickers
agree
matter
with
so
that.
much. It's part of the game. It's part of the game.
Yeah. So talking about, fantasy football and talking about the games this year
Yeah.
and the shock of having, the Seahawks and the Patriots at the Super Bowl, it was almost shocking to everybody. Were you shocked with seeing Seahawks and Patriots at the end this year? And what was, you know, um, like with your teams, what happened with your teams with all these injuries, and especially that a lot of good players did get injured this year?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I was very surprised that we had both of those two matched up. I think the biggest surprise for me for Seattle was the fact that looking at the previous season, they really struggled from the offensive line perspective. We knew that Sam Darnold, when he was pressured, he didn't really fare as well. So for me, it just felt like a really bad fit where it's like, hey, like maybe he does have the weapons. I like JSN, I like Ken Walker, I like Zach Charbonnet. But if he doesn't have time, we're going to go back to, oh, I'm seeing ghosts again, Sam Darnold. So it's like, all right, like I don't really have a lot of stock. It's a very difficult division. The Patriots, I am a big Drake May fan. I knew that they were going to take a step forward. I didn't expect them to take that big of a leap. I felt that there was too many strong quarterbacks in the AFC for them to really make as much of a run as they did. And it really felt like the team of destiny for them. As far as just like the season overall, I will say that losing some big players early, I was big on Malik Neighbors. He's one of my favorite players in the league right now. So having him go down super early, he was one of my premier picks in an auction league that I do with my boys. So that one hurt pretty big. But, we persevered. We got through it. I think injuries are one of those things that you always have to deal with and you can't really plan for. I think from like a fantasy perspective, for me, I don't have a lot of care for drafting what I would call and what other people call the oneies. So your quarterback and your tight end. I will load up on wide receivers and running backs, even to the point that my bench is filled. And then I will be the last person to take a QB. I'll be the last person to take a tight end just because of those sort of injury sort of situations. And
Yeah.
it worked out because you can get every league that I won, I had Drake May on. And it was like he was a pick that I got a lot later in drafts than you could have spent and paid for Lamar. You could have went and got Joe Burrow, all these guys that got hurt. You can't plan for that, but you can put yourself in situations to be able to mitigate for it better. And I think that kind of avoiding those positions sometimes can definitely help. But yeah, it was brutal out there.
Looking at the combine this year, how do you pick your teams?
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting sort of perspective in the dynasty market. I think it's not a big secret that people are pretty down on this year's rookie class. I think that the first 5 picks or so in the dynasty format are pretty much locked in. It'll be interesting to see how much landing spot adjusts, especially for the 3 big receivers that are on the board, how they're ultimately going to fare out. But once we get past that 105, 106 pick, it's going to really become slim pickings. For me, I think the player that's going to be most interesting for me to watch is going to be Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon.
Yeah.
He has all of the athletic prowess that's like, hey, like you should be really good. However, he didn't necessarily have the opportunity to showcase that in terms of production at Oregon. So it's, do you trust the talent? Do you trust what he could do? Or do you say, hey, like it's not worth the risk for me because I haven't seen him explode like we've seen from other players? You see a lot of talk about like breakout and things like that. I know for me last year, kind of ate some egg for this or had some egg on my face last year, but I wasn't convinced that Tyler Warren was going to do as well just because he only really had the one season at Penn State. Granted, he was stuck behind other starting caliber tight ends at that school, but it's just like for me, it's like, hey, I want to see that early breakout age. I want to see you do it consistently. Anybody can look good in shorts and make stuff happen, but isn't going to necessarily translate that way. So I think beyond those first 5 picks, for me, I know everybody's kind of looking at like the 2027 class and like how
Yeah.
that's going to look, but ultimately, that's I think the biggest change in fantasy from like 5 years ago, 10 years ago is that everybody kind of has all the same information almost instantaneous. So it's not a surprise to people that 2027 is going to be a hot commodity for kind of getting draft picks. So you're not going to get the value that you might have in previous years. So I think for me, it's going to be attacking like not necessarily old players like a Devontae Adams or anything like that, but guys that may be a little bit of the shine is worn off them. Somebody like a Jalen Waddle, somebody like a Michael Pittman, somebody like that who I feel like they can add immediate benefit to my team without necessarily setting me back and worrying about them falling off a cliff in a season. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the dynasty kind of community takes form as we get closer to the draft season.
So for you picking teams, it's you want more seasoned players than new players.
For sure,
So
yeah. Yeah.
are you afraid of picking new players, and what can you tell people to do before picking new players?
Yeah. And then we're talking like from like a redraft perspective.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially that now we're watching the combine and
Yeah.
people are looking into the new, the new players that's coming to the
Sure.
teams. Like I'm watching the combine. What
Mhm.
can you tell someone like me that never played the game and watching and oh, this guy is really good. This guy is really good, but there's more. What
Oh,
can you tell people about when the life draft is coming or any draft is coming? How can they um, form their idea into drafting players, new and seasoned players?
yeah, for sure. I think that from the dynasty perspective, it's all about going and getting your guy. I think there's a lot of situations where people, especially in today's day and age, and this isn't just a fantasy football thing, but everybody feels like they have to have an extreme take. Either this player is going to the Hall of Fame or this person doesn't know how to tie their shoes and they're never going to do anything in the league. A lot of times, most players are going to fall probably in the middle. So if you see people that are giving definitive takes, you can spin stats, you can spin a lot of these kind of metrics in so many different ways. So it's you have to kind of avoid hive mind and group think and really get opinions from a lot of different people and then figure
Mhm.
out what your own opinion is on the thing and then kind of go from there. So it's like if you look back at the drafts from a couple years ago, there's a lot of revisionist thinking about like, oh, should you have taken Caleb Williams? Should you have taken Jaden Daniels? Should you have taken Drake May? If you look at the start of this season, Jaden Daniels was far and away the quarterback that you should have taken. You should have seen it. We all saw it coming. He won the Heisman. You overthought it. Now he gets hurt. Drake May has a great year. Drake May is now the second coming of Jesus. And like we should have had him. We should have known it. He was always the best quarterback in my mind. And it's like, did you really believe that? Like, probably not. There surely is some people that did say that and probably stood on that, and kudos to you. But everyone's guessing, and it's easy to celebrate the wins, and there's going to be picks that you make that are bad too. But I think
Great.
going into this kind of draft class for me, from a dynasty perspective, it's either I'm in on the top 5 or I'm out. I'm looking to acquire kind of like those 26 to 28-year-old veteran players that kind of have that consistency upside. I think from the redraft perspective, though, I think that what we're seeing is that rookies are able to make a better impact more easily. You used to look and say, hey, I'm going to wait until your second, your third, maybe even your fourth year before I evaluate whether or not you are able to be a contributor. You look today, Jamar Chase a few years ago, he shows up to training camp. He didn't have his shoes tied yet. And people are like, oh, he's a bust. He took the year off. He can't catch anymore. Like, he wants to work at McDonald's. He doesn't even want to be here. And it's like, oh, well, pump the brakes. He's still this great talent, and he proved that immediately. So I think that in a situation where you can find players that are drafted early and you can get them late and have them as a bench flyer, that's awesome. If you have to pay up into the third or fourth round for a rookie wide receiver, they may do good things. They may be great, but it's going to take a very unique situation for them to sustain that for the full year. A lot of times it's kind of be a slow burn. So they're going to start slow. They'll build throughout the year. So for me, I would rather not waste that early capital. Unless you have like a Jeremiah Love situation, potentially, if he gets picked in the top 10, yeah, I could see myself picking him in the first 2 rounds. But otherwise, it's like, all right, like I don't need to necessarily pay a premium when there's other players that are still young, talented, can do those things that we've already seen establish their role in the NFL. So it's just all about the format. It's all about knowing your league. But for me, I'm definitely more of a risk-averse player. And I will take the people that I feel more confident or that I've seen it from before, like trying to project what somebody may be able to do at the next level.
I really appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of people are coming into the game itself, the fantasy football, and they don't know how to pick, their leagues, and they go into newbies instead of seasoned players. And you sharing that, it's so powerful and appreciative, and it's gonna help maybe a lot of people picking their leagues in the future. Talking about drafting and our draft days, and we're gonna have a lot of live draft days and at the expo, and Scott Fishbowl coming as well.
Yep.
What's your least favorite part of draft day?
Oh man, I'm a major overthinker in live drafts,
Yes.
and for me, it's like I know that I have to be conscious of that because there's no clock that says, hey, you have 2 minutes to make this pick, or like the computer's going to pick for you, right?
Yes.
Where it's like you don't want to be holding people up or doing all this stuff when it's like, all right, like am I going to pick player 1, player 2, and it's the 10th round? They're never going to see your lineup anyway. So it's like kind of just having that etiquette of what's going on. I think that one of the more fun, but also the worst parts of live drafting is when you have a player that you know that you want, and then they get taken and you get sniped in that situation. It's just like the most crushing thing ever. It happens on a computer. You're like, okay, fine. It's like you watch the person put the sticker on the board, and it's like tunnel vision. You're seeing red. Everybody's in danger. So it's
Yes.
that's
Danger, danger, danger.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. I
Yeah.
watch a lot of live draft, and I've seen it. You can see it, like the face change, like in a
Yeah.
second.
You got the
It's
steam coming out of
crazy.
the ear.
Yes, yes, you
It's
can see
bad.
the steam.
So
Yeah,
bad.
it's amazing though. I love the live draft. Sometimes it takes time, but yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Joe, what's the most toxic thing? Someone said in a fantasy football group chat that pulled you like, oh my God, like what is going on?
I think for me, it's not necessarily group chat related, but I think that there is this desire that anytime that somebody makes a trade, they
Yes,
feel like they can't make the trade unless they've absolutely like won the trade. Where it's like, oh, like I need to get you're basically your best player. I'm gonna give you like my kicker and a defense, and then look at me, look how smart I am. I'm the best trader of all time, all this and that. To me, like that's really goofy. And I think that you see in a lot of leagues over time, people that take on that mentality, it really makes it hard to do trading in those kind of leagues because people get so afraid of like, oh, like is this person trying to rip me off? Is this person trying to do this? I think that in a lot of situations, trades need to be mutually beneficial. You should be
yes,
trading from like a position of like, hey, I have this strength or excess, and how can I benefit myself? You never know how things are going to work out. I could trade a player and then the next week they get hurt. Yeah, sure, that's lucky, but like the intent when you did it, there's no malicious intent there. So I think people being willing to just like accept like, hey, this trade is good enough. I don't need to squeeze that extra value. I don't need to get that extra pick just so that like some made up crowdsourced website can say that I won the trade. I think it's really obnoxious. And I think that almost a lot of times, if we didn't have trade calculators in fantasy football, we would be in a much better place. I think that they're good for kind of like making sure that you're not doing something drastically stupid, but they're so easy to game and manipulate. It's like, oh, I can give you enough random pieces on my bench, and then you're going to give me Josh Allen because this calculator says that it's fair value, right? And it's like, no, like
yes.
absolutely not. That's not what it is. So to me, I feel like that's like a big problem in the community, and I don't know. Other than tell people like, no, don't look at it, just trust your gut. There's not really a good solution to kind of just like
No.
actually have people play and have their own opinions.
That's something that people need to hear. And I love that you're sharing it.
Yeah,
And I find it interesting because I've heard that a lot. A lot of people think that the other person is dumb or they don't know what they're doing or they don't know how they're working their team. So they offer someone the like really demonstrate trades ever,
sure.
and
Yeah,
that's not okay. That's not okay because you know your game and you know what you're doing, so it's fair to play fair in my opinion, and
yeah,
this is something that needs to be put out there. So thank you for
yeah,
sharing that, Joe, as well.
yeah,
um so let's talk a little bit about around the 412 fantasy football show.
yeah.
What inspired you to start the show?
Oh man, so I actually got pulled into that show as kind of like a guest, and then they just couldn't get rid of me. It was something that was started. So around the 412, 412 is the area code for Pittsburgh. So those guys have a podcast talking about the Pirates, talking about the Steelers, talking about the Penguins, pretty much anything that's going on. Zach and Tyler, they cover it, do a great job. They also do a really awesome fundraiser that I should definitely shout out, the Rockin' Around the 412 campaign.
Yes.
So they help out and do fundraising to help support children in the Pittsburgh area to help give them like Christmas presents, help provide food for like families for like Christmas dinners, all that stuff. So there's been over $15,000, I believe, raised in the last 6 years, 7 years that we've done that. So
Awesome.
that's been super awesome. But yeah, it's a good time. I think for us, my friend Drew, he is my sidekick for that show. He has like a medical background, so he gets into kind of more of like the injuries, what to think about that stuff. We like to make it, and I'm sure this will shock you knowing me, put it a little bit on the lighter side of things. So we have every week Fantasy Football Tinder, where we swipe left and right on different players in the news at the time and whether or not we're gonna keep going or not. And then we also have our only fantasy subscriptions for every week. So one player that we think is absolutely going to blow up, we're subscribing to them on our only fantasy page. So it's just a little bit of a different twist on things, but always a good time, always a lot of fun. And then we do that live every week too. So I know there's a lot of folks that like to do the pre-recorded stuff. I live for the comments and like hearing what people have to say and doing all that stuff. You know what I mean? So for us, it's always going to be a live show. We have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, that one's very near and dear to my heart.
I love that. I love that. I love my live shows.
Oh
Like you
yeah,
said, I love interacting with
yeah,
people, and this is something that it makes us feel like they are in our home and we are in their home. So
right,
it's really important.
for
I love
sure.
that you are doing something special with the 412 fantasy football show. Can you tell people how they can like? Do you have a link they can use so they can like donate or anything,
Yeah,
Joe,
for
for
sure.
that?
Yeah, so the campaign typically kicks off in the fall. So
Yes.
you can find the Around the 412 page. We're on Twitter, X at Around the 412. Same thing for YouTube. We post that link pretty much everywhere. It's through kind of like a GoFundMe page. But essentially, we work with the Salvation Army. We get a bunch of like their tags and kind of sponsor those. And then we help like additional families where we can. There's a former friend of the show, Dalton Keeney, unfortunately passed away, actually
Oh,
at a
so
Steelers
sorry.
game. But so we've been doing that like in his honor, kind of just like to help live on his legacy. And his wife is a big help for us too. So yeah, if you find us on X, if you find us pretty much on any social media platform, all that information's there. But yeah, we kick off in the fall and then kind of ramp things up. And it's always a lot of fun seeing the kids kind of like get their gifts and stuff. So it's very cool.
We do that in Connecticut as well as a Zumba
Yeah,
instructor. We do that for every single year around October. So it's something really important to look into
for
people
sure.
that they are they don't have like soldiers who are overseas. They
Right,
don't have
right.
that what we have for our children.
Yeah.
That's a really amazing thing to do. Joe, what's the funniest moment that never made it on air? Did you
Oh
have a
man,
funny moment that never made it on air?
I do, I do. So my dad likes to give me a lot of crap for podcasting. It's like a playful thing, you know. And he has always talked about like I'm gonna come in and break into one of the shows. I'm gonna show up behind you and like do something crazy. And this past Halloween, my mom and my dad were here to kind of do trick or treat with my son. And at daycare, they were referring to my son as the lobster because he wasn't walking, he wasn't crawling, but when anybody got close, like he would latch on to them and kind of grab on. So for Halloween, we had two costumes. We did like a family costume. So I was Shrek, my wife was Fiona, and then Jonah was Lord Farquaad, which was hilarious. And then
Oh
for
my God.
and then for daycare, we got him a lobster outfit. So I think Halloween was on the Wednesday, and we were doing our show, and my office door opens, and my dad is in, or I guess as much as you can be in as an adult in the lobster costume, like,
Oh,
let me in, let me in, let me in. And so I'm like trying to talk, like host to all this stuff, and I'm like, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. So that was like really tough to keep it together. And then we actually had a show New Year's Eve, which was also on a Wednesday. And he actually did come into the show, and we ended up doing a shot on the show
I
before the
love
show.
that.
And then he scurried off and disappeared. So that was a lot of fun.
That's what
He
that's
never made it onto the screen, but it was very entertaining just to kind of like watch it unfold on the side. So that was a good time.
that's what happens sometimes with me. I will be like looking at them like just
Yeah,
go away.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Talk to me. I love these moments though. These moments make us, who we are
Oh, for
as
sure.
human beings as well, which is really awesome. So tell me, what's the easiest part of hosting a fantasy show, and what's the hardest part?
Man, I think the easiest part is like actually talking about the content.
Yes.
So you spend so much time researching, and that was one of the big motivators for me to get involved with it. It was like I like having a platform to talk about something that I'm passionate about. Two, I spend so much time doing this research because I'm in so many leagues. So why not take that research and talk about it? You know?
Yeah.
So I think that part that is very easy. And once you kind of get the flow of it and like know how your show is sort of laid out and what type of audience you're going to have, then it becomes more of just like a repetition with new news. I
True.
think the toughest part is kind of staying on top of it, generating the content, and really doing all of the behind the scenes stuff that is really
Yeah.
challenging. So it's like for me, since I do all of the graphics, I'm doing all of that. So it's like I'm trying to find time after everybody in my house goes to sleep to build graphics for the next week, to set rankings for the next week, to write shorts, to do all that sort of stuff. So some of those things can kind of fall by the wayside a little bit, but I give a lot of props to people that are consistently churning out content and really doing high quality stuff because it does take a lot of time. And even just to do like one short where you're sitting in your car and just rambling about something, it's not like a 30-second thing. Like there's a lot of work and effort that goes into it. So even if I don't necessarily agree with the takes, I can definitely appreciate the level of effort that people go in to kind of make stuff like this happen. It's no easy task.
It's crazy. I agree with you. I write my show and it takes time. It
Yeah.
takes time
Yeah.
to search for the person and search for the right questions and right answers. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
hard. I don't know how you guys do it with, making the shorts. I don't make the shorts
No,
yet.
yeah, you're
I don't
smart.
know.
You're smart to stay out of it. And I know even just like running like something like this, right? I remember the first time that I hosted the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show, I didn't know how to start StreamYard. And so at the time, there wasn't like a way to hook the intro video to,
Yes.
so you had to hit the video, then hit start. Well, I didn't know that. So then I just started, we're live. We're both just kind of like blank staring at the screen. And he was like, did you just hit, like, are we live right now? I'm like, oh crap. Yeah. And I was like, whatever. And then I hit the
And
button.
hit.
Oh, like we're off to a
I
great
mean,
start here.
I
Now
mean, you see
listen.
what happened today. Every single time I go live nowadays,
Yeah.
it mute me like, and
Yeah.
I start talking and like, and JC jumps in every single time and tells
Uh-huh.
me, Carla, you're muted.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do, and you just kind of roll with it. And it's like, all right, but then like you live with the shame forever. Like I will never forget that first show that I did, where like we just
Yeah,
did it. Like that will just haunt me for the rest of the time.
because we're perfectionists, and
Oh,
I'm like perfectionist, and I work on a sheet of paper, and I have everything in front of me from A to Z,
yeah,
and to tell me that you're talking without it's crazy. So
right.
I get it. I agree with you. Did you ever had a heated argument on air?
Hmm. There have been times where takes can get a little bit spicy, but I think it does make for good TV. I like
Yes,
when people are willing to take a stand and kind of go against the grain on what people think. I know for me personally, I don't really pay much attention to fantasy football this time of the year because I never played football. I played flag football, but whatever. I don't
yes,
have an eye for scouting. And it's like, why would I spend the little free time that I have trying to guess like who's going to get drafted where, who's going to do this when there's still so many variables that are going to change before I have to do my actual dynasty drafts?
makes
So it's like
sense.
I usually just stay out of it. So for me, it's like if someone's like, hey, like you want to talk like combine, I'm like, we can talk about it, but I might be making some stuff up, or like I probably won't agree with you because I'm not paying to the level of attention. But I think there's good ways to go about it. I think that like that banter is important. If everybody agrees and just kind of rolls with the same thing, then like what's the point in talking about it? We're all just might as well all just auto draft. I know someone said that auto draft is not a beginner's friend, but if everybody feels the same type of way about something, then everything has already been decided. So I think that it's good to have those things. I think that it's fun. And I think if you have that relationship with people, then it's a lot more natural. If you were to like, if we were to come onto this show tonight and me and you just started duking it out, it'd be like, all right, this is probably a little bit more weird. But if you're on a show with people all the time, like I almost expect it because it's like you shouldn't always agree on everything.
No, I agree with you, and this is what makes it fun.
Right.
I agree. So Tyler Bradley, how
Yeah.
did you and Tyler link up?
Oh man. So I did draft night out at the Fantasy Expo 2 years ago with Tyler's brothers, and I was kind of sandwiched between the twins, and we had a heck of a time. I ended up spending quite a bit of time with the FSAN crew at the Expo 2 years ago, and
Yeah,
then Tyler got in contact with me and was like, "Hey, like I do the show on Fridays. Like, are you busy?" And I was like, "I don't really ever have plans, so yeah, I'm in." So we did a show and he was like, yeah, this went pretty well. Like, let's have you back on like 6 weeks, something like that. And then did it again. And then it became more frequent. And now we pretty much hang out every Friday night, talk sports. But I absolutely love that dude. He is underappreciated icon in the fantasy community. I love all the stuff that he does for our group specifically, for the fantasy community in general. Absolutely stand up dude. So major kudos to that guy.
wow, I love it. And talking about Tyler, what's one topic you and him will never agree on?
Oh man, probably music. So
Really?
yeah, Tyler is much more of like the country kind of style. We have some overlap there because I have a pretty wide range of music, but I'm definitely more like hip hop leaning and all that good
Yeah.
stuff. So for us, it's like so like when we get together, we get in the car, it's like, all right, who's gonna DJ? Like you just pick the music, like we'll deal with it, like it's fine. But I think that's probably the biggest one I would say. I feel like we tend to clash on music quite a bit, which is always funny.
Yeah. What's the most rewarding part between co-hosting with Tyler?
I think a big part of it is that the show we do from the forum is entirely Q&A based. So there's during the season there's not really an agenda. There's not really a hey, let's talk about like XYZ. It's all these people have questions, let's get them answered. We may not always get it right, but here's some good analysis that we do it. I think the other cool part of the show is that we always have other people on it as well. So the opportunity to kind of connect with other people in the industry, give them exposure, have people hear their takes and really get those different perspectives to it. And hey, see, Doug knows ball. He knows what's going on. I will dabble with some country, not to get sidetracked. I also really love me some hip hop. So the whatever hip hop country fusion that's happening, I'm all for that. So it's definitely great. But yeah, back to the forum or back to from the forum. I think that being able to
Yes,
just kind of take in those questions and then having people come back and be like, hey, like you helped me do this, or like we won
yes,
this because of that decision. Like that's super rewarding. And it makes it a lot of fun. I feel like I talk a lot less on that show than I do on Wednesday, just because we're always bringing in folks.
yes,
But it's a
together.
good time for sure. It's a good time for sure.
I that's powerful. Um, Joe, what's something people would be shocked to learn about you?
Man, something that people are shocked to know about me. Hmm. I gotta think about this because I don't feel like I'm much of a secretive person. So I feel like I pretty much wear who I am on my sleeve. I think
Oh,
the
I'll ask a secret soon.
yeah, I think I think that maybe that is what people would be surprised is that like I think that and a lot of times that I meet people, it's at events like the expo or it's something like that where it's like you're out, you're meeting all these folks, you're doing karaoke, you're going to these events, and it's like it's very easy to kind of say like, oh, like that's just expo version of
Yes,
this person. It's like that is me all the time. That's me when I take my son to daycare in the morning. Like we're at red lights, we're singing, we're dancing, we're doing whatever. Like it's me in work meetings dressing up as Santa Claus. Like that is my personality through and through. And there's just like no shutting it off. So I think maybe that maybe is surprising to people, but it's really
yes.
a fun thing.
And what's a habit you're proud of?
A habit.
Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, I started taking some vitamins last week, but I don't know if that's necessarily a habit yet. But I want to live to be 110, so I figured I got to start treating my body like I should if I want to make it that far. But
Give
I
me
think
those what you're taking. I
it's just
want to
like a
live to
one a day,
100.
nothing crazy, nothing crazy. No, um, but I do think something that like I guess you could call it a habit. It's something that I
Yeah.
really value is just eating dinner as a family.
Yes.
So my
Yeah.
wife and I, it's like every day we eat dinner together. It's kind of like our time to kind of like unpack, hear about each other's day, watch my son eat more food than I humanly thought possible for like a 13-month-old baby. And I think that that's something that's really cool. It's something that like we did growing up. It was like no matter what was going on, like who was busy doing whatever, it's like we found time to eat, sit at the table, kind of hash that out. That's something that's like if she works from home and I'm at home, like we do it for lunch, dinner, like whatever. So to me, that's probably like maybe my most prized possession out of everything. So I think being able to have that time, share that meal, share that experience, that's something that I really like a lot. And I think that that's something that's like if people are ever in the area, like my door is always open, my table's always open, and you want people to be a part of that too.
Oh my God, we're so alike on so many levels, Joe, and I can be can tell you that. Like my house is always open to
Yeah,
everybody, and my table is always open, and family is so important. And I love that you're talking about this because we're losing that
right,
nowadays. We don't sit on the same table, we don't eat together, and when we eat together as a family it's different. The family will get connected, and our children will feel loved more,
for
and they
sure.
can go and do something else in the world without questioning themselves. That's really important. I like that you do that.
Yeah.
Um, what do you want people to feel when they are around you, Joe?
Yeah, my best friend tells me that I treat everybody like they're my best friend. So I think that that's something that I try to give to people. It isn't always necessarily a good thing, because people can obviously take advantage of that. But I
Yes,
think that like it's giving that people that sense of comfort that like, hey, like you've known this person for 5 minutes, like they will give you the shirt off your back, or like, hey, like you want to do this crazy thing, like that person will be the first person to jump in and be your cheerleader, be your advocate for that. Like I'm pretty ride or die, and it doesn't take a lot for me to kind of jump on that bandwagon for people and kind of give them that support or that energy. So that's something that I always try to push forward. So whether it's somebody that I just met, whether I've known for a long time, whether they're super important or somebody that has no clout to them whatsoever, I try to treat everybody in that same kind of way.
that's our superhero. Like this is a superpower of us, but it hurts a lot at the
Sure.
same
Yeah.
time. So it's good and bad at the same
Oh,
time.
yeah. But I
So
feel like
yeah,
that's the case with like most people's strengths. It's like it becomes almost like a
yes,
blind spot that you have. And it's like you can either learn to acknowledge it and say, hey, like, all right, like I'm acting this way and it's not necessarily being reciprocated or it's being taken advantage of.
yes.
All right, gotta need to tone this down over here. But yeah, I feel like you can never shut that off or like kind of
No,
take it away because it just takes away from like the person that you are. So
the person that you are. I
yeah,
agree with you. Joe, is it's almost 1 hour, but I don't wanna like finish the episode yet. I have a couple more questions to
sure,
ask you.
let's do it.
Especially that I want to ask, what do you want listeners to take away from the show tonight? Especially that you're talking about family, you're talking about what you do to help your community. What do you want them to take away from all of this?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I think the first is that fantasy football is for everybody, regardless of like what your backstory is, what you're about, how much experience that you have. It's a game that really can bring people together, and we have a lot of fun with that. So I think you're always welcome. I think if you're somebody that's wanting to get in the industry or in the industry and are looking for someone to say, hey, like, how do I get to this or how do I do that or how can I get connected? I'm always more than happy to be a resource. I don't consider myself to be like this high and mighty, like, oh, it's like me and Matthew Berry butting elbows, but it's like everybody starts somewhere. It's probably not going to be that great the first time that you try it.
Why
But
is you saying that? You and my and you are the same. Yeah, definitely.
I think it's like anything that I can offer to help give advice, look at stuff, even just like, hey, like, can you retweet this for me? Like, hey, whatever, I can totally do that. And I think also like just to have fun with it and have fun with everything that you do. Like if you're not getting utility or joy out of the things that you're doing in your life, direct that energy into other stuff. So no one can tell you where that you need to direct that joy as long as it's not negatively impacting other people. So just figure out what works for you, go chase it, and you'll be surprised how far you can get just from doing something that you really enjoy doing.
I love that from you, Joe. Um, so talking about you, talking about the the lessons and everything. What do you think? What's something that you hope people will remember about you? Not just from the show, from everywhere that you go, especially that you see people and live drafting and you go to the expo. What do you want people to remember about you?
Yeah, I think more than anything else, like it's easy to be like, oh, like that's the dude that did the karaoke, or like, hey, that's the loud guy. Hey, that's that dude that
I
was like,
love it.
that's fine, that's awesome. But like, I hope that people like when they see me, they say like, hey, like that's somebody that like I think is a good person. There's somebody that I can go to and count on if I need something, and that I'm gonna be like a reliable for whatever it is that they need. So as long as I'm doing that and I'm able to give people kind of like a good show along the ride, then I'm all set. So that's something that I try to instill in every interaction that I have, and I hope that that kind of branches out like as I kind of continue life's experiences.
Nice. You were talking about Matthew Berry in a few minutes
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ago. What's the dream collaboration for you? Is it Matthew Berry or someone else?
Oh man, the dream collaboration. I don't know if I really have one. I don't have like a like, oh man, like it would be the craziest thing to kind of
Yeah,
do this, that, or the other. Um, yeah, like for me, it's like I would be like to me, like being on this show today was like the pinnacle of my week. Like awesome, like let's do this. So it's like it could be like something like
appreciate it.
this. It could be something that's like, hey, like we're gonna do this spot, hey, we're gonna film this thing. Like to me, all of the interactions are awesome because it's all people being able to share their story and share things that they find like passions in. So I don't know. I really don't know if I have one. I don't have anybody that's like, oh man, I'm starstruck. Like, can I ever meet that person? That would be like the coolest thing. It's like we're all just people that are doing the same thing, and some people have more of an audience. So I don't think I have one.
Nice. What's the dream opportunity? You haven't said it out loud yet.
Hmm, man, I feel like I need to find a way to translate my personality more into the things that I do. One of the
Yeah.
things that I did last year that I got a pretty big kick out of, but I think like my mom and like two or three other people watched was like I was doing like a Judge Judy style of like
Yeah.
short, right? So it's like stuff like that that I'm like, oh man, like this is great, this is whatever. Um, and then it's like, all right, like nothing really came of that, whatever. So I think just like putting myself out there and finding different ways to present the sport and present things, I think that is a strength of mine. I need to lean into that a little bit more. I know one of the goals that I had going into last year, kind of transitioning a bit, was being a ranker for fantasy pros, and being able to see kind of like myself and say, hey, like how do I measure up with other people that are in the space? That's something that I'm actively working on. And I'm glad that Joe Carlton liked it because that is the utmost of importance is that if you're able to impress another Joe, that is like that's a big deal. So that's a win for sure.
I love that. I love Joe. I love Pete. I love Doug and everybody who was in the chat today
Yeah,
as well, interacting with us tonight because this is what matters, right,
for sure.
Joe? They all matter because they are here and interacting with everybody.
Yep.
Couple more questions, Joe, before I finish this episode.
Okay.
What do you want people to ask you sometimes that they never do, especially that like having mental health going on and like a lot of stuff happening in this world. What do you want people to just be legit and ask you that question, not just ask you and just leave,
Yeah,
and
no, for
like
sure.
be there for that question?
Yeah, I think something that's really interesting that's become almost just kind of like a passing comment is it's like when you say like, "Hey, like how are you?" Like not
Yes.
that people don't care, but it's more just a convention of conversation. Like, "Oh, hey, how are you? Good. How are you?" It's like to be able to stop and ask that. I want people and I try to be not necessarily more creative, but more intentional about how you ask that question so that you can genuinely see how people are doing. It's very easy to kind of just like coast through that conversation without actually thinking about it and like forcing people to be able to say, like, hey, like, here's actually like how I'm thinking or what I'm doing. It's like, what was like the best and worst part of your day or like something like that, right? Where you can really dive into like, hey, like, here's what's going on. Here's where I could use some help, like all that sort of stuff. So I don't think that it's necessarily like a world saving sort of situation, but I do think that being intentional when you ask people stuff and being ready to accept that, hey, like maybe they're not having a good day, maybe they're not doing whatever, and asking questions in that way to allow people to feel comfortable in that sort of space.
That's a great way to put it because sometimes I would be sitting in my house and I would be thinking about somebody and I ask them legit. I ask them, how are you? And they will tell me a lot of things that
Sure.
they are
Yeah.
going through. That's really important to listen to the people that they are in your life
Right.
because they need that. How are you? Even it's a simple question, but
Yeah.
it's really an important one. Joe, I do ask everybody, everyone from my guests, one more question before we
Yeah.
finish.
Okay.
And the question is, Is there anything that you did maybe at a young age, or maybe something now as adulthood, but you never spoke at all with anybody on the show, kind of like a secret, and you want to share on the Game Changers today?
Man, you really are trying to dig out the secrets, huh?
Definitely.
Hmm. Let's see. Hmm. I don't know if I have. I'm trying to think of like situations that I've been in. Hmm. This is a good question though. I like it a lot. Let's try to think about. Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe something you did teenage years.
I mean, I didn't really hit my groove till my teenage years. But yeah, like I was afraid to chew gum until like the 11th grade, so I wasn't really doing too much of anything. Um, hmm. Yeah, I don't know. This is tough.
Spill it, Joe. Spill it. Let's
I know.
go.
I wish I had something that was like, all right, like, oh, here's this one thing that I've been holding on to.
We need something.
I know this isn't necessarily like a secret, but this is a funny thing that happened that only me and my dad would know about. So I think I was a freshman in high school, and I had recently learned about flaming hot Cheetos,
Yeah.
and I ate like an entire family bag like in one sitting because high school students are bottomless pits. Um, so obviously, once that makes it out to the other side, I had this moment of panic because let's just say that things weren't necessarily in the right color that they were traditionally supposed to be. And I freaked out. I panicked. I'm like crying because I'm like, oh, like I'm bleeding. Like something's wrong with me. And so like I tell my dad, and he just goes out of the garbage can and he picks up like the bag of
Like,
Cheetos. He's like, come on, man. Like, are you for real right now? Like, your entire body, if we shut off the lights, would probably glow red like now. You can't like be serious about it. So like
oh my
that
God.
is definitely a deep dark one in the archives that I'm not proud of.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, that was tough for sure.
I agree with that. Thank you so much for sharing your
Yeah.
story tonight with us, Joe. But before I wrap up, can you tell everybody the best way to connect with you online and where they can follow your work? And please, if you want to share your podcast time and everything that you need to share, please share it with us tonight on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm pretty much got the monopoly on the handle JOEFRK, which is Frick for short. You can find me on X, Instagram. I don't have a TikTok because it's just too much effort, in my opinion, for all that stuff. I'm not really a video watcher, but X is probably the primary platform for me. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, I am the director of social media for an organization called the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, or you can find us on fsan.com. We just launched a new app called Sellout Crowds. If you are tired of kind of social media in the sense that, hey, I just want to talk about sports, I want to find my communities for these different things, Sellout Crowds is that spot for you. If you are a content creator and you are wanting to kind of build your community through somewhere and through a vehicle that's not X, Blue Sky, Facebook, Sellout Crowds could be that place for you as well. And you can even set up things kind of like a Patreon style sort of situation so that you're getting paid for the content that you put out. The Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show is off for the off season, but we typically run the show on Wednesday evenings, usually around 7:30. We'll kick back up probably a little bit after the draft and maybe hit some off-season episodes. We'll really hit our gear on the kind of like September, August timeframe once we're getting close to draft season. And then last but not least, we got the From the Forum show every Friday night, 10 p.m., 9 p.m. Central. We're doing that on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network YouTube page. You'll see it sprawl out across all of the Twitterverse and what have you on the different accounts there. But yeah, my personal handle, JOEFRK, easiest way to find me and yap, whether it's about sports, shoes, music, flaming hot Cheetos, whatever it is that you need.
I love that. Joe, if you can retweet the post for
Yeah,
the game changers and put everything like all the links so people
sure.
can see it and I can see them as well
Okay.
and lead them to that. That would be really good. At least people will see the app because I'm interested in knowing more about the app as well.
Cool.
And good luck and congratulations to that. Thank you again for joining me for this episode of the Game Changers. If today's conversation gave you a fresh perspective on fantasy football or the game of life, do me a favor, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. I read them all. Mark your calendar and join me for next Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Tara Cobasco Howard for more game-changing conversations. Big thank you to JC for his behind the scene magic, especially when I started the show and I was muted. So he had to intervene and tell me, hey, put your unmute. And for the whole powerhouse of the TSA team for making this platform possible. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a review, and follow us on social media. Until next time, keep challenging the game and making your mark. This is Carla with Joe signing off. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye.